All right, Novak Djokovic, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Terima kasih. Thank you very much for having me today.
Terima kasih kembali. You're very welcome. And to be honest, we're very thankful for your time here. And again, virtually, I want to say congratulations again for your victory. Again, another history is made by you in Melbourne, securing your 9 Australian Open title in February, and also 311 weeks at #1. You already passed Roger Federer's record. So how does it feel? I have to start with that.
It feels fantastic, obviously. I'm very proud of this achievement. I'm very happy. Today, when I woke up, I was by myself and I went into my routines, and I knew I have obligations, I have training, and I knew it was a special day, but I couldn't really realize fully how special it was until I start receiving phone calls and messages from the closest people in my life, my friends from all around the world, and seeing my family and everyone congratulating me and bringing this significance even more to this day. Energy has been phenomenal here in Belgrade, in Serbia, where I am at the moment, and I cannot be more grateful to experience this.
Okay, feel grateful, but in the same time, do you define this as greatness in your definition, your own definition?
Well, it's hard for me to speak about my own greatness. You know, I try to be humble and I have a bit more, so to say, objective look at things in terms of my success, in terms of how I am in life. I mean, I leave that to others. I also don't involve myself in the greatest of all time debate, because I feel like it's very difficult to compare the generations of players that have played 50 years ago with wooden rackets, in a different time, in a different style of tennis. But just to be in terms of, results in the same conversation with some of the greatest tennis players ever to play the game is a huge honor and a privilege.
But if you look back to the latest competition, your Australian Open in 2021, was it one of your toughest competitions so far?
It was one of the toughest tournaments I had in my career because of an injury and circumstances that I was facing, and that actually many other tennis players were facing, because we had to go through two weeks quarantine, and many of the players didn't train, didn't practice. So it was a lot of tension, I would say. But in the end, we managed to play the Australian summer tournament and Australian Open, and I defended my title there. And it was just a huge relief, I think, when it happened in the end. The last point, I just fell on the court and felt relieved, because as I said, there was a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations, a lot of tension, and with injury, a lot of doubt when dilemma whether I'll be able to play. So I kind of took it day by day, match by match, and crowning that kind of journey with a title was a fantastic feeling. I was very proud of it, but I was also glad it was over in the end, so that I could recover and just relax a little bit.
And also you played in a very difficult time, pandemic. So can you share more about how you manage your focus, and also how you have to get through all the process, especially prior to the competition?
When we restarted the season last year in August, we restarted it in States, and we had the bubble, and every single tournament after that was in the bubble with no crowd. So it was very strange to play without fans present, because they give you energy, they feed you energy, and sport is in the entertainment world, because we bring joy, we bring good energy, good feelings to people that watch us, that relate to us, to relate to what we are going through. So that exchange is not happening now for a while, which is it's not easy for us to go through and experience that. But Luckily, in Australia for semifinals and finals, we had almost half of the stadium full, allowed, to fill with people, and it was wonderful. It felt like playing in front of the crowd for the first time again. And look, pandemic is something that it was, I think, caught us all by surprise. And we, as tennis players and as athletes, tried a way to practice, to train, to stay fit. And when we had to undergo a 2 weeks quarantine in Australia before playing Australian Open and all the tournaments before that, it was difficult. It was very difficult. I mean, for me, it was better than actually for what some of the players went through in Melbourne. I think it was about 70 people and maybe 50, 60 players that had to be, in a hard quarantine, meaning they cannot go out from their room for 14, 15 days, which has a big impact and effect on their health. And there was a lot of injuries, and I was one of the injured players, unfortunately. So, yeah, I mean, this is a reality, unfortunately, hopefully temporary reality that we have to face, we have to accept. And very soon, hopefully, we're going to have possibility to go out, be more free on the tournaments and have crowds back on the stadiums.
And also, speaking of difficult times, sport tournaments and competition here in Indonesia at the moment is still on hold, especially in this pandemic era. So when you see and experience Australia Open this year, how do you feel about the management, the organizer, and how they actually make this happen in this pandemic?
Yes, I commend them for that, and I'm grateful that they managed to put it together, because it's huge effort to organize one of the biggest tennis tournaments in the world and to bring in almost 2,000 people, tennis players and their staff members and family members, and to get special permissions from the Australian government to let you in. And then you have to hard quarantine everybody, make sure that you have enough staff members to support that, to monitor, supervise. I mean, it's immense work. And I congratulate them for making it happen. Of course, it was not ideal. For many people, it was not ideal. And it can always be better. But I mean, they did their best, and they succeeded. They managed to organize a big sports event. But again, it's not up to Tennis Australia or ATP or WTA or anybody involved in tennis ecosystem. It's up to local governments. If they think it's good to have the sports event, it's safe enough, then they're going to give you permission. If not, it's not. And unfortunately, as you told me, in Indonesia, the sports are on hold at the moment, and hopefully that can change very soon.
So what are the key pointers that you can give us, especially for the governments, to prepare, especially to make a tournament like this?
Well, it's difficult for me to talk about key pointers for the governments. I mean, they know best the situation and the conditions that they are experiencing in their own respected countries. So every country is obviously going through a different circumstances. So you have to approach it differently. And you have some examples of the countries where they have dealt with this virus in a different way, in a more flexible way, and everything was kind of more or less operating as normal throughout the entire pandemic. And then you had countries where it was a full lockdown, and still there is a full lockdown. I mean, it's really difficult to say what is the standard procedure here and protocol. It's just something that we just have to accept and embrace it, and as part of the reality that we are experiencing at the moment. And we all collectively should hope that and work towards a better future for all of us.
Okay, Novak, especially you mentioned in early or previous interviews that after you surpass Roger's record for the longest #1 and win as many tournaments, so what is next for you?
I don't know. Right now, it's all about the present moment. For me, I'm trying to marvel on this wonderful moment, wonderful success, very special day. It's been a long time that I worked towards this goal, and we are trained in tennis we are programmed that we have to think about the next goal, the next challenge. How do we move on to the next chapter, which is great, but at the same time, it moves you away from the present moment and really enjoying it. So that's what I'm trying to do. But, I've been healing very well with my injury. I will start training, and I'm hoping that I can rejoin the season and circuit very, very soon in Miami, hopefully, and then keep going, and hopefully all the tournaments will be held as previously planned. But my attention and focus will go mostly on the Grand Slams and the Olympic Games. That's where I want to do my best.
So how do you prepare for Miami at the moment?
Well, I prepare by talking to you. I'm kidding. Obviously, today is all about, as I said, enjoying this milestone. And then, I already started doing some fitness training, and I'm going to start training tennis on the court, and being with my family, being with the close ones, because when you start to travel, the time on the tennis tour can be sometimes lonely, and especially today with this kind of circumstances, you're not allowed to take too many people with you in the family. So I try to use the most time to spend the best quality time with the close ones, and then restart with my profession, with my passion again.
All right, now it's like family time. Of course, collecting your energy back again after you get through with the Australian Open. But you mentioned in the previous interviews that a long time ago, when you were a kid, there's not many kids wanted to play tennis in Serbia. So with having you now as inspiration, especially as a top player in international tennis, how do you see the kids in Serbia right now, especially in tennis world?
Well, tennis is an expensive sport. I mean, at least in our country, because there is no system yet in place that would support, I would say, a more moderate and more accessible, so to say, beginning of the tennis career for a young tennis player. So we are also traditionally a country of team sports, and that's what we are trying to influence in a way, to change. I mean, we don't want to change. We want to keep going in team sports and keep making big success. But we want to add another sport of being very popular sport for young people to choose to play and to do, which is tennis. And in the last 15 years, there's been a lots of success in the men's tennis, women's tennis. We had in one point 2 number ones. In women's tennis, Ana Ivanovic, Jelena Jankovic, Nenad Zimovic was number 1 in doubles, myself. So we had this golden generation of Davis Cup winners with Troitsky and Tipsarevic. They were top 10 of the world. So, and all of us, we made the success individually. Really, we kind of were born more or less at a similar time, so similar generations, but we were not developed in the system. So we are trying to develop a system here in Serbia that would support younger generations. And sport speaks universal language. Sport brings peace. Sport doesn't know of any borders, and this is a message that Nelson Mandela was about 20 years ago was radiating and conveying to all the world by setting up a foundation, a Laureus Sports Award Foundation, that is very important one, and a foundation that does so much charity work around the world in different areas, especially underdeveloped, underprivileged areas. So, Serbia has been through a lot of hardship and 2-3 different wars in the last 30 years. But growing up in these kind of circumstances brings about a new level of strength and resilience and perseverance. So I feel that the great time is ahead of us, and sport can definitely unite people, and sport can be a very healthy way of living your life. So I would encourage definitely also in Indonesia a lot of young people grabbing a tennis racket, and hopefully I can visit you soon. I was in Bali. I was in Bali about a year and a half ago, and I had a fantastic time. So I'm gonna visit Jakarta very soon, hopefully as well, with my friend that lives there, and maybe we're going to see each other in person as well.
Awesome. We are looking forward to have you here in our country. So Novak, I remember you mentioned about trophies are not your primary motivation. You play and win the tournament. Can you share more about it, especially to inspire all these Indonesian players or youngsters who really love tennis?
Well, as a kid, you dream, and you dream big, and you believe in your dreams. You imagine that they can happen and they can realize, and then usually the circumstances and the environment and the society somehow tells you that those dreams are not realistic, that they're too big for you. So I would definitely encourage every young person, whether he wants to become a tennis player, a sportsman, an artist, or whatever in life, dare to dream, and dare to dream big, and try to embody that kind of a dream that really brings you joy and wonderful positive vibrations and emotions, and try to surround yourself with people that encourage you, motivate you, inspire you, and then you will see that anything is possible. It really is.
All right, Novak, just allow me to ask you one more question, just a short one. Who is your first and second best rivals in tennis court?
Federer and Nadal, of course, are the two biggest rivals that I have. I cannot pick one or the other. It's both of them, because I played them so many times, and they have greatly affected and influenced my game, my evolution as a person and as a tennis player. They made me realize what I need to do, how I need to grow, how I need to develop in order to dominate the men's tennis and win Grand Slams. And I'm very grateful at this moment that I'm part of this era. At the beginning of my career, I was not so happy to be part of the era with two of them, because they were beating me too many times. But then that has changed, and I feel like we have helped each other to a great extent to become better players.
All right, Novak Djokovic, thank you so much again for being here with us.
Thank you very much.
And looking forward to have you here visiting Indonesia in the future.
Terima kasih. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih kembali. Thank you.
Thank you. All the best.